Welcome back, Airbnb family. If you've been paying attention, you've noticed how I posted a video on how I've made my fortune on Airbnb owning no property. And this is the way that I think you should do it. But there's a gentleman on another channel who said he's got 4 reasons why he prefers to own his property, and he gives you those reasons to kind of counter my argument. Well, some of these reasons make no sense. So let me help you make the right decision by breaking down the math and getting rid of some of these misconceptions about Airbnb and what it really is and why we do it. Number one is a really easy one to bust. So he states that if you take your 20% down, like I said in my video, and buy a property for $100,000, and that property goes up $20,000 in value, you didn't just make 20%, you actually doubled your money. That's true, yes. But here's what the problem is he's claiming that you can buy a property that you can rent the entire place on Airbnb for $100,000. Where can you find that? And I think he said that he does most of his stuff in Manhattan, and then he maybe has like a couple big homes out in the middle of nowhere. Where can you get a $100,000 property in Manhattan? Please tell me, and I will write a check right now. I'll take it. So, and it doesn't end there. See, the misconception is that you can get in for cheap when you buy. That's not true. How many of you are sitting on $75,000 just ready to go and blow it on a property? You don't. If you bought a home that was that cheap, even if you got in for only that $20,000, you're gonna have to do renovations. You might have to put $30,000 to $50,000 in the home just to bring it back up, because what kind of property is that? That's probably a pre-foreclosure. So then you still have to furnish it. Now, a second one is he says this is better for you long-term because your principal payments, the ones you're putting towards your mortgage that go into the equity in your house, you can't spend it, which means you're going to be saving that money, and it's better for you that way as well. Well, here's the problem there. If you're running a business, the last thing you want to do is needlessly tie up your cash. So if you're doing what I'm doing and you're renting and reletting and making your money that way, all that cash you can reinvest in your business. Now, if you didn't have that cash because it was stuck in equity, you could not scale your company, you could not scale your business. Our way, you can get a property every $5,000 or $7,000 that you have, you can get a new property, right? If all that stuff was going towards a principal payment, you would have to make like $70,000 profit outside of your principal payments in order to buy a new property, or you'd have to refinance, right? That's not what we're trying to do. That doesn't scale quickly. So again, buying is slow. I really don't recommend doing it. Okay, so another point here that he tries to make to kind of dumb down what it is that we do is he calls it a trade, where you have to actively manage your property, and you've got to clean, and you've got to handle all these little properties, and then you can't automate the business. It doesn't work well. Well, he's coming from the homeowner side again. He thinks that you have 3 properties and you hire a cleaning company and pay them $150 to $200 to clean these big houses, and that's your automation. And that's not how this works. See, anytime you run a business, businesses will have processes, right? So you're going to have a cleaning team, you're gonna have a concierge team. Fun fact, I just bought a trap phone for my first Airbnb property management position. I put a co-host account with like my 20 some odd properties in there, and every app that they need to run their business on a cell phone that I'm gonna hand them and say, hey, here, run the business, you're good. So my cleaning team has all the power they need to make sure that the guest check-ins and check-outs go well, that the place is turned over and clean. And all this stuff is automated because I've automated the processes. When I first started this business, yes, I cleaned my own units when I only had like 3 or 5, but I think you should too, so you can understand what it's like to run your business. That way you can identify what processes need to be defined, so you can hire somebody to do them, and then you can scale your business. So yes, it's not a trade, it's building a real business. See, owning Airbnb properties or renting them out because you have leases, it's not the property that defines the valuation. It's the operating structure of the company. It's the overall profitability of it, because it's a business, which leads me to number 4. He's like, what if you want to retire? What should you do? You can't take your little Airbnb leases and retire on that. There's no way to cash out. This is so freaking wrong, it's not even funny. So number 1, all my properties are under an LLC, right? And that LLC generates on Airbnb probably somewhere now around $60,000 a month, right? Okay, so now that LLC, if I ever wanted to sell my LLC, I could, right? You don't just sell homes. You don't just sell watches. You can sell businesses. Businesses go up for sale. So if I build inside of 5 years a business that has 40 or 50 leases that are all cash flowing and have a net profit on average of $800 a unit per month, That's like $40,000 net a month. I can sell that business and do very, very well on the way out if I wanted to let it go. But if you've automated a company that's making you 40 grand a month, would you want to sell it? Right? He makes another case in this, and let's dive down. He says that when you sell a property, you can do a like in kind and then of course buy a new property and pay no taxes. Sure, that's true, and you get that tax deduction. But the problem here again is, of course, is assuming that you want to sell your home when it comes time to retire. You're not going to want to if that home is cash flowing you so much money. And let me explain it to you like this. Let's say you buy a regular house, right? And you put it up for rent with a regular tenant. So let's say you normally get like $2,000 a month in rent. Cool, right? Yeah, kind of cool. But if you put that same property on Airbnb, let's say it's a 2-bedroom, maybe even a 3-bedroom, right? You might get $5,000 to $8,000 a month instead of that $2,000 a month. Now, when it comes time to put that home up for sale, it is an income property because there's a tenant, right? So when you go and sell a home with a tenant, it gets structured differently than if you just sell your home that you're moving out of. So now let's take like Article 3 here, which is where you have Airbnb tenants where you're cash flowing $5,000 to $8,000 instead of $2,000. That home is going to sell for more, right? You can still like and kind it and move it to another, like move that money into another building if you wanted to, but you're not going to want to. If you've got a property that is making you 3 or 4 times more than an average tenant would pay in rent, you're going to hold on to that cash cow, right? And you're going to just go buy a second property and go buy a third if you bought it. Now, when you're doing it our way, instead of waiting to have $50,000 or $70,000 a time to spare, you're just chipping away at your business every $5,000 or $7,000. So that way, you ramp up the scale. If there's one way I would meet this guy in the middle, right? Let's just say, let's agree to disagree on all that junk, right? And let me agree on something. Owning a property will make more profit per property. Yes. So what do I think I'm going to do with all this said? I'm scaling up to 40 or 50 leases to the point at which my scalability starts to slow down because of like operational inertia, because of the organization just cannot scale infinitely at some sort of highly accelerated rate. Sure. So what I'll do at that point that I can no longer just scale to my heart's desire, I'll start purchasing and start flipping my lease holdings into equity holdings. But that's only at the point that I just cannot just gobble up more property. So that's the way I would do it. Scale on leases, and if you want to convert to ownership later, once your business is too big, go that way. So I would love to hear what you think. I'm sure all of you have watched all 3 videos, including this one now, so leave it in the comments. Let's keep this alive, because this is a big subject, and the better you get at this, the more money that you will make in the future. So thank you for watching Airbnb Automated. I will see you on the other side.